Okay. Jodi, Colin, you ready?
Let's get on. Yep.
Okay.
Do it.
So, welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you. As we were just saying, if you've just joined us, Prime Day is nearly upon us now. So, we've put this webinar together because we feel there's a few ways to really maximize Prime Day. It's a massive event. It's an unbelievable opportunity if you're an online seller, but it is also an unbelievable opportunity for a lot of headaches. So we want to make sure that we get rid of those completely, and we're doing everything we can to help you have a smooth day that actually propels you into the holiday season rather than burying you underneath a load of stuff. So just to get started, I'm going to do a couple of introductions so you know who we're going to be hearing from today. So first up is Jodi. Jodi is the VP of Americas at eDesk. She has been a leading expert in the e-commerce and SaaS space for the last 20 plus years. Her specialty is customer experience and how best to support, to retain, and to grow your customer base. So thanks for being here with us, Jodi.
Thanks, Lauren. Good to see everybody.
Great. We have a great 30, 40 minutes up ahead of us. And then on the other side of the panel is Colin. So Colin is the product manager at Repricer, and he is the man with the plan when it comes to repricing. So he'll be divulging us all about repricing today. So Colin's been in e-commerce for more than a decade and has spent the last 10 years focusing on repricing solutions specifically. Currently, he works day in and day out to ensure that e-commerce businesses are optimizing and automating their pricing strategies so they can keep their focus on the thousands and thousands of other things that they're doing. So thanks so much for joining us today, Colin.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. I look forward to imparting some nuggets to you guys and hearing some from Jodi as well.
Fab. Thanks, guys. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So Amazon Prime Day, huge, massive, one of the biggest days for e-commerce sellers if you're selling on Amazon. And we hope some people joining us today who aren't selling on Amazon might get some insights into the opportunities that are there to sell on Amazon and some other things that they can learn from repricing and customer support in general. So we're here to talk about Prime Day and the secret weapon to maximizing those Prime Day profits. So it's a big day, but we want to know just how big is it? How can it affect your businesses? So I think Jodi's going to start us off with a few stats to set the stage.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lauren. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, like I always like to say, depending on where you're at in the world. And yeah, big numbers, impactful numbers are always a great way to kick things off. Prime Day last year was the biggest in Amazon's history. In just 2 days, sellers generated more than $12 billion in revenue. That's 300 million items purchased worldwide. And in the US alone, that's 60,000 products per minute. It's no wonder Prime Day continues to be a huge revenue generator for sellers, but all those zeros packed into just 2 days come with their own set of challenges. So an increase in sales also means an increase in your pre and post sales support tickets. So I want you to say that 5 times fast. Last year alone, eDesk tracked ticket numbers in the UK and US markets and found that they increased between 48 and 50% during Prime Day alone, making customer support a huge challenge when it comes to managing things in a short period of time. From inquiry overload, inadequate resource planning, or just not enough people, to dealing with shipping and fulfillment issues that you have little to no control over, all 3 of which could lead to negative feedback or poor performance metrics, which could hurt your ability to win that coveted buy box going into the holiday season. But Colin, that's not the only big challenge sellers are going to be facing this season. You have some pretty important insights as well.
No, definitely. So that's the stats have been well laid out there, Jodi. Covered a lot of the bases. So yes, I'm just going to focus on pricing here. So buyers flock to Amazon for Prime Day to snag a bargain. So it's hardly a shock that this increases competitiveness. In 2022, Repricer noted a 17% increase in repricing events. This meant that Repricer made a staggering 1.6 billion with a B price changes over that 2-day period alone. So if you're not prepared for Prime Day, you won't secure yourself a portion of the extra sales that are on offer. So what are the sorts of challenges from a pricing perspective that you as a seller can experience? So let's see. First of all, we're in a growing market. This is great because it means that there are more buyers than ever. On the other hand, it means there are also more sellers than ever. With increasing competition, this means that you must also increase your competitiveness if you don't want to be left behind. Then we've got the buy box. If you're selling on Amazon, and I'll be perfectly honest, I'd be shocked if there's anyone in this room who doesn't sell on Amazon. Buy box eligibility is absolutely vital. 83% of sales still go through it. Inventory availability, feedback rating, customer support, response time, and price competitiveness all factor into who gets the buy box. So how you get the buy box and what you do if you don't have a buy box on a listing should be very high on your list. Then we talk about monitoring your competitors. This is price consuming or time consuming. It's a full-time job. To be perfectly honest, it's several full-time jobs if you have more than a few hundred products. What I'm trying to get at is it's resource intensive. It is 100% not scalable to do it manually. Then we have to talk about our profits. Again, profits and losses is also very time consuming. A profitable sale is not just for Christmas or for Prime Day. You have to ensure profits all year round. While moving fast is great, and sale periods like Prime Day are great, you have to always keep an eye on that bottom line because it's very, very easy to lose sight of it. And then we've got stock. It can be very, very difficult at times to keep an eye on where your stock is and how much stock you need. There are slow times and busy times, spikes and troughs in sales, sale periods, and then quarter 4. If you don't have the product for sale, you obviously can't sell it, which means that you're leaving profit on the table.
Well, thank you for that, Colin. I think that we can all agree that it takes a lot of hard work and strategy to be a successful seller in this industry. It's definitely not easy, but it can be done, as many of you watching already know. So how exactly can you keep your head above water, maximize those profits, reduce returns, and avoid missing those sales opportunities, both now and going into the holiday season? And Lauren, that drum roll we were talking about with automation. So I know it's a big surprise. Nobody talks about automation. Nobody's heard of the word AI over the last 6 months. But what we're going to do today is show you how to use automation without having to get a computer science degree. But before we dive in, Lauren, I think you had a quick reminder for those watching today.
Yes, so before we get into deep, this is a conversation. So we want to hear from you. We're here to help you during this webinar. So the lovely platform that we're on has a question tab just here, I believe. So if you're in the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll see there is a question tab. So at any point during our conversation today, feel free to just right away pop anything in there. And we know sometimes you go, oh, we'll get to questions at the end. I'll remember to ask it. Not me. I would forget.
Thanks.
So at any point during the conversation, pop that question in. We're going to do a Q&A session at the end, and they'll all be stored there. So we'll get to as many as we can then. And the ones we don't get to, we'll definitely get you an answer. So please ask away. So with that, I pass it back to Jodi to talk us through some of those customer support challenges and the solutions that eDesk feel they can solve.
Yes, and the Q&A session is going to be one of the very few chances that we're going to have to get into Colin's brain about repricing. So I do encourage everyone to stick around. It's a great way to actually have some direct interaction with the people actually building these products. So let's go ahead and take a look at 5 ways automation can help improve support. So we've crunched a lot of data over the years, but talking with customers always gives us the best insights into what works and what doesn't, which is exactly the case with Susie, who's the head of customer service at Wetsuit Outlet. So during her interview, she shared that within days after her team implemented personalized templates and automation, they were able to reduce their response times by as much as 38%. Now, why do I bring that up? Because it's a measurable impact that they were able to implement and see within a very short period of time. And with Prime Day coming up, we don't have a big window of time to do that if you already haven't started to think about your customer support strategy. It's a really great interview that Susie gave. We've shared it so much on the internet. I think she's already getting fan mail. You can watch the full video at edesk.com after the webinar, of course. Just click on resources and then customer stories.
We love Susie.
Yes, Susie is awesome. A lot of really, really great information and insights. You know, some of the stuff we already knew about or suspected, but you always learn a lot when you start talking to customers. So that's why we love getting your questions today as well. So Prime Day often results in a significant increase in customer queries, as we looked at earlier, by as much as 50%, which, if you're not prepared, can trigger longer response times that lead to angry customers, which is not good, and negative reviews. So the first step in managing your time with limited resources is automating your message organization so that you can prioritize those responses and get to them faster. This means breaking down your common questions into specific categories and then automatically routing them into topic-specific folders, which can give you a quick view into pre-sale tickets like sizing questions, or post-sale like returns and shipping inquiries, or again, those angry customers, which we don't want, but if we do get them, we need to pay attention to them right away. eDesk does this all for you automatically, and you can also save a ton of time and confusion by automating agent assignments so that the right person gets to the right ticket as quickly as possible. Because in support, the name of the game is absolutely responding quickly, as well as the quality of your answers. And that kind of takes us up to the SLA management. So setting up your SLA standards is also vital for improving your response times. If you're not responding to messages within 24 hours, your seller metrics on Amazon could take a dive. But I wouldn't even go by that 24 hours, because customers that purchase a product online actually expect a response within 4 hours, even less if you're dealing with a pre-purchase question, because they're in the throes of trying to make that buying decision. So my advice, when you set up alerts for your SLA, is to set them much sooner than that 24-hour period of time. If you can do it closer to that 4 hours, that's even better. But what you do need to do once you have those settings set up is to share those SLA expectations with your staff, because as we've mentioned, Prime Days is just 2 days. It brings in a huge amount of revenue, but it also sets the stage going into the holiday season. And I'm not saying to use Prime Day as your testing ground for customer support, because you absolutely want to be prepared ahead of time. However, you can take that 2-day window of time, look at how quickly your staff manage their SLAs in response to those questions, and then go back and see how you can improve, where you did a great job, where you didn't. So monitoring those can be a really great way to improve going into the holiday season. So now that you've automated message organization and you've set up your SLAs, Your agents need to respond quickly with answers that actually solve the problem. Please don't use generic responses. I know on weekends or after hours, that's sometimes a good thing just to let people know not to expect something until the next day. But generic responses can be quite frustrating for buyers. Instead, be specific. Take ownership of issues. Even if the shipping carrier caused the problem and the delay, because no one wants to hear that it wasn't our fault. They just want a solution. So make sure your team is empowered to solve problems without involving a manager and creating multiple never-ending email threads. It will speed up your response times quite a bit as well. So this is where templates come in. So by creating a template for your most common questions, which takes some planning, you give agents the tools to respond almost instantly, especially if you use hands-free and your messaging stays consistent with your brand. Now, I'm going to do a shameless plug. It's kind of in my job description, but we've been really, really excited about this since its launch. So eDesk has this tool called AI Assist that quite literally takes the guesswork out of how to respond. So templated responses are automatically suggested based on what categories they're tagged. So if it's a shipping problem, we'll be able to respond with the right shipping question, and it suggests that to you. But they're not just generic templates. We also include snippets, which are what we call pieces of code that are inserted into the message with details like name, order information, shipping date, tracking, the firstborn son's middle name. You get the point. We want to get as detailed as possible. And you can use these responses as we've created them for you, because we do put together a lot of templates based on all of our learnings over the many years since we've launched. But you can also customize them in the moment. You can do it ahead of time, or you can write them from scratch. You're in complete control of all of your messaging. So in addition to Susie's incredible response rate improvement, using AI Assist, we've actually found that agents have been able to 4 times their efficiency. And it's super, super easy to implement. So that's my big pitch for eDesk AI Assist. Going into another really great way to save some time is, now that you've got your templates ready to go and you're getting comfortable with how they're being suggested to you, you can even set up hands-free responses in eDesk. And this sends out a response without you even having to touch the ticket. And you're not sacrificing those important details that help solve a problem instantly for the customer. Now, as you know, feedback and reviews also play a really important role in whether you get into that buy box. A lot of what we've been talking about have been proactive tactics to address issues before the customer submits a public complaint. If you do get a negative review, make it a priority to address it quickly. Set up your help desk accordingly. Customers want to see how you handle those problems. And if you do a good job, you could very well negate the negative feedback. But just as important, the last thing you want to do is miss a good opportunity to request feedback after you've had a positive customer experience. Those are golden opportunities. And could you do them manually or rely on Amazon to send those requests? Absolutely. But Amazon is only going to do that based on triggers like delivery confirmation. So if you have a feedback tool, hopefully you have one from eDesk, you can automatically target positive feedback with smart selective requests, whether it's on Amazon or eBay or Trustpilot or wherever you're gathering those reviews. And if you do use something like eDesk and feedback together, what you can actually do is ensure you don't send requests to customers who have already raised a support ticket, which I think is highly, highly valuable. So Colin, I am going to push this over to you because I have a feeling, as exciting as customer support is, I'm a big believer that it's probably the least sexy thing in e-commerce, but it's one of the most important. But I think what people are really excited about, and I know I've learned a lot from you over the last few days as we've kind of gone through this about repricing. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Colin, and let you go for it.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Jodi. It's amazing to hear some great ideas for the customer service side there. I mean, I've got to say the AI stuff just sounds so exciting. I look forward to seeing how that develops over the coming weeks, months, and so on. But of course, when it comes to Prime Day, in order to get all these new support tickets to make the most of these features, we're going to have to need to get you a few extra sales first. And of course, that's where Repricer comes into the picture. So first of all, we're talking about staying competitive. I don't think it'll shock any of you that my answer to that is repricing. But not just any old repricing, instant repricing, which comes from repricer.com. With Repricer, we offer dozens and dozens of rule features that you can use to fine-tune your rules to your specific needs. I'm not going to get stuck in the long graph about all these different rule settings, but I do want to talk to you about a killer feature you can use, and that's targeting specific seller types in specific ways. So we all are aware that FBA sellers are far more buy box eligible than MFN sellers. With that being the case, why in the world would you beat them both by the same amount, be that 1 cent or 10 cents? With Repricer's competitor rules, you can specifically target them in different ways. You can beat that FBA seller by 10 cents, or you could beat that FBM seller by 1 cent. If your metrics are good enough, you might even price above that FBM seller. This allows you to be really competitive where you need to be and potentially avoid losing profit where you don't. The most important part of this, though, is a bit of trial and error. You set up your settings, your metrics the way you want, and then using Repricer's rule screen, keep an eye on your stats and feedback, seeing how your orders and your buy boxes behave to any changes you make. Find what works for your setup, and then replicate that out across your product base. Next, we're going to talk about the buy box. You want a buy box, I want a buy box, everyone wants buy box. There are many, many factors involved in securing the buy box. I touched upon a few of them earlier, but at the moment, I'm just going to focus on price. Being competitive and ensuring your minimum and maximum prices in rep are correct is the most important factor when it comes to ensuring you can get the buy box. How is Repricer going to put your price at the right place to get the buy box if we don't have the correct minimum price? So that's the first point to take away. However, again, I want to give you a killer strategy you can use. Really, at this point, I should say targeting different kinds of sellers in different ways, but we just covered that in the previous slide, so we won't talk about that again. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about the synergy of the buy box chaser and the buy box optimizer. The buy box chaser is Repricer's AI-powered tool to put your product at the right place to get the buy box, while the buy box optimizer gradually increases your price when you have the buy box, ensuring that you get as much profit as you can while you own it. Link these two tools together, you can secure more buy boxes, and you can increase your profits while you have it. How about constant attention? It is an absolute waste of resources to manually keep an eye on your pricing. That is why Repricer exists. Use Repricer to automate repricing your product, but better yet, why don't you automate everything to do with Repricer? Why should you log in and set your min prices and rules when you can do it automatically? Repricer allows you to automate setting your min max rules as well as even your cost price. Use our API or our FTP for a true hands-off experience, passing data from your inventory management system directly into Repricer for you. Or if you want a straight out-of-the-box solution, we have our auto assign min-max rule feature, which allows you to automatically set these for any products that come into the system. So how about profitability? A profitable sale is not great. To be perfectly honest, it's not even worthless. It's a detriment to your business. That's why Repricer offers the minimum price as an unbreakable safeguard to ensure that you never sell your product at a loss. But how do you ensure that you're making the most out of every eligible sale? That's where sales rules come in. Use Repricer's sales rules to increase or decrease your price based on the revenue or total orders sold for that product. If your product's sales are in a slump, drop your price. Or, more importantly to this point, if your sales spike, like on Prime Day, it will increase your price accordingly, allowing you to make extra profit out of those sales. And lastly, let's talk about stock. You can't sell a product you don't have. Nobody has infinite warehouse space, not even Amazon. So you have to manage your pricing based on your stock. With that in mind, let's talk about your stock. Repricer has this great feature, ironically called automation. What it does is it automatically moves your products from one repricing rule to another based on triggers. These triggers can be a number of things. It might be buy box owner, repricing status, condition, sales rank, and a whole ton of other things. But at this point, we're going to talk about a specific trigger called stock cover. What it does is Repricer knows when your product is going to run out of stock based on your recent sales. If you set it up right, you can have your products move to a less aggressive rule whenever you know you're going to run out of stock soon. For example, if Repricer detects that you're going to run out of stock in 5 days, move your product to a less aggressive rule, giving you time to restock to ensure you don't run out of stock before, well, then you can't make any sales. And lastly, I want to just show you this here. I want to leave you with these words from Chris, who recently was chatting to my colleague Ronan about his Repricer experience. And to be perfectly honest, I think his words speak for themselves. With Repricer, we offer a world of options to allow you to fine-tune your repricing experience and make the most out of your Amazon sales opportunities. As we go into Black Friday, let me wish you all the greatest success. And with that said, I'll pass back to Lauren.
Thanks, guys. Wow, that's a lot to take in. I'm very happy we're getting a recording after this. I'm going to have to watch it again, take some notes, some proper notes this time. I definitely can see how a busy day like Prime Day or Black Friday, you obviously want to reprice correctly. You want to beat your competitors. You want to win that buy box. And that's really where Repricer comes in. But then when you inevitably do that, you're going to have queries, you're going to have questions, and you're already focusing more on making more sales. You really have to loop in the automation for support, because one feeds the other, right? If Repricer works, which it will, then eDesk really has to come in and support those new customers to ensure that they don't fall off after Prime Day, that they come back for Christmas, for New Year, for the holiday season. They come back again and again and again. So thanks, guys, for that amazing overview. You're right, Jodi. None of us have heard of automation in the last 6 months at all.
Definitely not.
I think it's the most overused term, I think, between automation and AI this year, which is a little bit of a shame because it does pack such a huge punch, especially when you look at how to apply it to things like repricing, which is, I can't imagine doing that manually, especially when you start to add the number of SKUs to your catalog. It just seems like a nightmare. So automation is really critical to that. And then from a customer support angle, it's been something we've done at eDesk for a long time. But with the technology, with ChatGPT and OpenAI, it's changed how much better we can do it, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
We're getting more
Definitely.
better.
Yeah, more better. Just before we actually move on from that topic, Jodi, we have a question from Greg. So Greg's asking, do you have any tips for these auto-organized messages? So just to bring everyone back, we were talking about the inbox being able to be organized in different ways, but in this case, auto-organizing by which type of query they are, or other solutions. So Greg's asking, do you have any tips for these auto-organized messages? With our company, these never sort correctly, and we can have shipping inquiries come through as product inquiry. Do you have any feedback for Greg on that?
Yes. So Greg, I'm not sure which instance you're using for eDesk. Before we implemented eDesk AI, we did have what we call, and we still have it, what we call a smart inbox, which basically uses a number of categories, which has now been extended to 33 plus with eDesk AI, which automatically organizes those messages, typically based on the subject line or the content of the email. But with eDesk AI, we're now also reading the content and making some summaries or prejudgments, which has been much more accurate in getting those questions, like for shipping, put into that specific inbox, that smart inbox, or that category for you. If you're continuing to have problems, what I would do is go back and look at your rule setting, and we're happy, we can reach out to you afterwards to kind of take a look at your account and see what you've got set up, and make sure that there's nothing overriding something else. But from an automated standpoint, that should take care of it. If not, go in and check your rules and look at those messages that might have specific triggered words that you could use to automate better.
Very cool. So
yeah, just very cool. I mean, it's just amazing how powerful that feature can be.
Yeah, imagine I can picture some of the support inquiries that I write, and when you're so flustered as a customer, you write, I needed it for this time and I was doing this and I have to have it by this date, and like I can imagine the summary as an agent going, okay, I no longer have to read through all of the circumstances that surround this product, but actually just get right to the heart of the issue.
Yeah, it's quite intuitive.
Very cool. All right, Colin, I have one for you. So Michael has written in, how do I reprice MFN and FBA differently for the same SKU? I only see one record for each SKU, so is there a way to differentiate? Thank you.
Yes, I can say in Repricer, if you have an MFN and an FBA version of the same SKU for sale, we'll have two individual records in Repricer for that. Then you can apply different rules to them to allow them to reprice in different ways. Definitely, it's very easy to do. You can even use the automation feature that I mentioned before. It includes triggers for MFN and FBA. So you can even automatically filter your new product into rules for MFN and FBA. So you can very clearly separate them out right away and use specific rules for them. But I mean, if you have any other follow-ups on that, please do just post them in or reach out to us.
That's great. Thanks so much, Colin. Jodi, I have another one for you. So Brendan has asked or said, he stated 4 hours is really short. And I believe Brendan is referring to the expected time that a customer has. That's what you were referencing, wasn't it?
Right.
So does Amazon punish us if we use automation to help with responding to questions, or do they know what's the situation with Amazon on SLAs and responses and all that?
Right. So that's always been kind of a sticky issue, and that's a really good question, Brendan. And it's an applicable one because you don't ever want your automations to not go through to customers. But with eDesk AI and with automations in general, if you're doing them right, it's typically not a problem and those get through. So for example, if you're setting up your own, and these are more applicable to generic responses, because if you're replying to customers with eDesk AI automation, and it can be set to where it responds, well, if you use hands-free, that's a different thing, because those are technically an auto response, and that can be set up to be sent at various times. Not necessarily instantly, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. You can actually set that up or make it random. But when you're using templates and AI Assist, and you're getting, so you get that ticket in, and you see a summary, and you know that it's a shipping inquiry, and you can respond by grabbing that shipping template, because it's already got the person's name and their shipping status, whether or not it's been delivered. And you're just replying to that message. That's an actual reply. Even though it's AI assisted and you're using a template to send it, it's an actual response. So that won't ever get dinged in Amazon automation policies. If you're setting up hands-free or other autoresponders like after hours or weekend responses, don't put things in your subject line like "we're out of the office." That's like a surefire red flag. And it seems like it's like an obvious thing to not put, but it's a standard subject line too for people when you're telling people you're not in the office that day. So come up with some creative ways to do those types of messaging. But again, for the AI assist and the suggested responses, that's not a problem, because you're actually sending out the message.
Cool. So the personalization is really the key to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that should be the case no matter where you're replying, because the generic responses are just not helpful at all. And you end up with multiple threads and a frustrated customer.
Yeah, that's fair. We know when it's generic, don't we? That's it.
Yes.
Great. I have another for Colin. We'll do one more for each of you, and then I have a joint question, if that's okay. So from Nicole, for Colin, how frequently does the AI repricing system or the Repricer update the prices of my products?
Well, when it comes to Repricer, we will be aware of any price changes from your competitors right away, and we will reprice that right away. With our plans, our most price sensitive plan, or our lowest plan, includes an upload period of every 15 minutes. But all of our other plans will upload as fast as Amazon allows, which is every 2 minutes. This means that your price changes will hit Amazon in no time at all. But yes, we're made aware of the changes right away, and then we'll upload the price changes very, very quickly to ensure that you're as competitive as possible.
That sounds very effective. That's great. Thanks, Colin. Jodi, back to you for one more individually for you. So what kind of, question from Ronan before, we don't want to miss shouting out our audience. What kind of customer support tasks do you feel still require human intervention, or, that full hands-on support from an agent versus the ones that can do hands-free?
Right. I would say that I don't want this to be a non-answer, but it really does depend on every company, what products you're selling, if they require a lot more interactions with your customer. Like if it's a more expensive product and they might have more questions surrounding it, those people are going to require some additional time. If it's something that you can respond to quickly, like a shipping inquiry, or if you know a product's out of stock, and you prepare that ahead of time, that's something you can do with automation. And then the idea is if the customer does have an additional question because your initial response did not help them, maybe they had another question, or maybe it sparks something else. That gives you a lot more time when you take care of these manual tasks, like automating the organization and having the templates. You can now spend a lot more time with those customers and dive a little bit deeper into their questions. So I think from the human versus computer side of things, which we hear a lot about in the industry, like, is this going to replace all the jobs? My answer is no. It will help you do your job better and faster so that you can take on more inquiries, if that helps. And I know that Jason was asking also about AI assist cost. And I just wanted to throw it out there too, that eDesk AI, which comes with the AI assist, hands-free, automated organization, summaries, you can even get a sentiment. It's really, really cool. It comes with a free plan that starts at up to 30 tickets per month, and then is all ticket-based from there. So you're really only paying for as much as you're using, and you can scale for the holiday season or Prime Day as little or as much as you want. So it's a much more flexible way for pricing.
That's amazing. And that 30 ticket is free forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then
yes.
when you scale up, you know what you're getting because you're using all the features. Very cool.
Exactly.
And Colin can probably appreciate the human intervention, or, getting things sorted in a more meaningful way, because the buy box is won by those reviews as well, isn't it, Colin?
Yeah, 100%. It all flows into each other. The two feature sets tie into each other. The great customer support helps to get the buy box. Getting the buy box helps get the sales. Getting the sales gets the customer support, and it's a never-ending circle where everyone's making a lot more money and everyone's a lot happier.
That's always a good thing.
That is an incredible summary. So my last question, which comes from Alana, she's asking, if I already have my e-commerce platform system set up, can I integrate Repricer and eDesk within those? Do I have to stop using some things to use the others? What's the setup situation? So we'll go with Jodi first on the tech stack question.
So I'm assuming, like, if you're using another help desk product already, that's the question?
Yeah, yes. It just mentioned tech stack. So let's assume anything, including a customer support.
Right. So from the customer support side, if you're using another product already, which, a lot of people who come to eDesk have been using another product, they come over for various reasons. And you can start off slow. You don't have to stop using the other product. You don't have to feel like, in order to test something new, that you ditch the other one altogether. You can start it gradually. And then if you need help over time, that's what we're there for onboarding. We can add multiple channels. Most of our sellers are selling across Amazon, eBay, Etsy, marketplaces all around the world, Bed Bath & Beyond. So they're selling on 3 to 4 channels, sometimes up to 20 and 30. So you don't have to have all those done right away. We can start off small, add 1 and 2, get your templates ready, get your team used to using it. And then once you're happy, and I know you will be, because once you're in there using it, you can't help but to say, wow, this is really cool. We can help you get everything else plugged in. So I hope that helped and answered that question.
Yeah, cool. And you mentioned an onboarding team, so there's always someone to help. Cool. That's great.
Absolutely.
And to you, Colin, so what about Repricers or any other tech that's going on your side?
Yeah, when it comes to Repricer, I'll tackle this in 2 ways. So let's first assume that you meant that you had a separate system for controlling your inventory. With that, you'd be able to integrate that with Repricer, no problem whatsoever. We offer integrations, automatic integrations, to some larger inventory service software such as Linworks. But even if we don't, as mentioned in the presentation, we have our FTP and API integration. So you can link your inventory system directly into Repricer, pass everything along. So then effectively you can be hands off and just doing nothing with Repricer after you've originally set it up. On the other hand, if you were talking about having a repricing solution other than Repricer already, then yes, 100%. What we would long-term, you should have only one repricing tool per channel. So per marketplace, Amazon UK, for example. But we make it very easy for you to test it. What we have is a feature called test mode. It allows you to link up and start Repricer. And you, in your in test mode, will fully use and reprice your tool, your products. but we won't upload those price changes for you. This allows you to review the sorts of results you're going to get, fine-tune your rules, make sure everything's great, work with our onboarding team, make sure everything is exactly the way you want before you turn off your existing provider and turn on the new. And then similar, as Jodi was saying, you can then, if you want, move all of your channels over at once, or you can do it gradually, channel by channel, because then it won't impact it. And the onboarding team, very hands-on on our side, very keen to help you get set up however we possibly can. But the test mode feature definitely just makes it easy. You can get set up, you can get operating fully and see it in operation without actually impacting those live listings.
Yeah, I love that. And I did want to also add in that with eDesk, like Repricer, and both of these products are built around these concepts. We integrate not only with all of these marketplaces, but with those partners like Linworks and Channel Advisor and Channel Engine and Walmart, 200 plus different integrations. So you can get that data coming into your eDesk product so that you can see the order information, the shipping. We plug in with a lot of shipping carriers and solution providers as well. And the idea is you get as much data as you can so that you can answer those customer questions as quickly as possible. And a lot of that information is also used in the snippets.
Great. We all owe a lot to the onboarding teams, don't we?
Yes.
Yep, definitely. They're the true heroes.
That's it. They most certainly are. Well, we're a few minutes over of what I promised everyone, so we'll wrap it up there. Just a quick summary while we still have everyone. If you were interested in anything today, well, first of all, we hope you got a wealth of knowledge to help you with Prime Day in the next couple of weeks. We're only a couple of weeks out now. That is the main goal of today. We want to make sure that things are automating, they're running smoothly, you're getting the most, you're maximizing your profits. So thanks for joining us. We will send the link in an email. So if there was anything you wanted to listen back to, you'll have that in your email shortly. But otherwise, want to let you know that eDesk and Reprice are here to chat with you. So we had a couple of questions, more technical questions that we didn't get to follow up on. So we'd be happy to book a call with either Repricer or eDesk's onboarding team, support team, anyone who needs to help. And if you use one or the other or neither or both and want to see a demo and get things going, just fill out that poll there. So otherwise, you can go to eDesk's website or Repricer's website listed here and learn more and see more in depth what all those cool AI features. I have a feeling we only scratched the surface here today, guys. So again, big thank you to Colin and Jodi. Your knowledge is much appreciated, and we look forward to having you on again.
No, it's been a pleasure, Lauren, and it's been great. Particularly great big thanks to you for arranging everything.
My pleasure. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Have a fantastic day.
Good rest of the day.
Bye.